You traveled to the region when the Russian full-blown invasion of Ukraine occurred. You visited Odessa shortly after the invasion. But again, I still want to make comparisons, right? So are there any lessons for the EU as a whole, for Germany, to be taken from the wars in Yugoslavia, the disintegration of Yugoslavia, and the relative impotence of Europe in relation to that? Or perhaps more positive lessons that can be drawn from the story of EU enlargement? You mentioned that the Big Bang enlargement happened in 2004, and my homeland, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, were accepted as full members alongside eight other countries. 8 out of 10 were from the former Communist bloc. So are there any lessons for Western Europe, for the EU, that can be drawn, right? Like in the 90s, basically the common foreign security policy was in its beginning, and Europe proved largely impotent in relation to Milosevic. It was the United States that had to pacify the region, if you want. Are we in a very similar position now, that Ukraine needs the help of the West, but the key actor there again is the United States?
Absolutely. Right? The European Union, or European Community as it was called until the beginning of 99, or mid of 99, was not capable of militarily intervening then, and it's basically not capable now. Everything that happened on the Balkans is a Pax Americana. Yes. It was the Americans as NATO lead nation that actually intervened, and only once they intervened, and also we must say once then Great Britain and France joined, because they didn't play such a positive role in the Balkans in the early 90s, not at all. There's an interesting book called Unfinest Hour about what Britain did, or rather did not do, during the destruction of Yugoslavia, especially in Bosnia.
Which is an allusion, of course, that Britain's finest hour was during the Second World War, right?
Well, should we really get into this?
No,
I mean,
no.
But definitely it was not a fine hour for Great Britain foreign policy in the
But
early
not
90s.
a fine hour for Germany, for major Western...
That's true.
And for the European community, as you said. I mean, the European community became the European Union through the Treaty of Maastricht, right?
In 91. I mean, you said it yourself. The European foreign and security policy was just in the beginning stages. So Europe didn't have any instruments. It was an economic giant, but it was a military dwarf. Today, I would say it is, well, still an economic giant, even though a shrinking giant, so to speak, but still a giant. Now, for you living in Hong Kong, that word giant might look a little funny, but it's still, economically it does mean something. But militarily, we are still not anywhere near to be able to, let's say, put order into our own house without the help of the Americans, unfortunately. If there's one positive aspect as far as Germany is concerned about this horrible war in Ukraine, is that Germany has matured a little bit in the way it debates and discusses foreign and security policy.
So Germany discovered that it needs a strategy towards the EU, towards the outside world, and that is the gist of the Zeitenwende, right?
Well, Germany discovered that basically military is an element of foreign policy, which until a year ago, 2 years ago, many people would have said, "Oh no, we are beyond that. We are, it's all about negotiations. It's all
about trade." And there is this famous policy that was applied towards East Germany, towards the Soviet Union, later towards Russia, Wandel durch Handel. That is. Transformation through trade, or there's another phrase like that, Annäherung, right? What is it again? Well, Handel durch Handel captures that.
I'm not saying that we should now forget about all the dogmas of the past. I don't think Wandel durch Handel is like completely obsolete. There is some truth in it. But the problem of the German foreign policy debate, I mean, you lived in Germany. I think it used to be very immature. Immature in the sense that we thought you could define the world through values and not through interests. I'm not saying values are not important. I'm not a so-called neo-realist or realpolitiker who says, values are just crap, we just need to look for our interests. No, I think values and interest go together, and interest must be bolstered by hard military power. And we have more or less finally, slowly, I think, understood this. There is a change. It's hard, it's difficult, but look, at the beginning of the war, it's even embarrassing, but it's true. Germany said, oh, we cannot help. And then the then German foreign defense minister, total disaster, but let's not get into that, said, oh, we can deliver 500 helmets. You know, this was the German contribution to the defense of Ukraine against Russian fascism. Yes. I mean, this is, if this is not ridiculous, I was ashamed then to be from that country. But now things have changed. Tanks are being delivered. Patriot systems are being delivered. And I hope more, because basically, I mean, it sounds a little kitschy, but it's true. Ukraine defends us.
Yes.